Environmental scientists. The behaviors of humans can change ecosystems throughout the world. Environmental scientists study changes to environments and ecosystems. They also research ways to save native habitats and prevent destruction. These environmental scientists have made a difference in environmental science. Rachel Carson. In 1962, Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, was published. Many people think it is the most important book ever written about ecology. It changed how Americans think about their place in nature. Carson, 1907 to 1964, studied marine biology in college. In 1936, the U.S. Bureau of Fisheries hired her. She was the first woman biologist ever hired by the Bureau. During the 1940s and 1950s, she studied and wrote about life in the sea. She also started to see some disturbing things happening in the environment. Animals were dying. She figured out that the cause was pesticides. Pesticides developed in the 1940s were used widely to kill mosquitoes, fruit flies, cabbage worms, and lots of other pests. Carson discovered that the poisons also killed all the other insects in the area where the pesticide was sprayed. The poison killed everything. When pesticide spray drifted over a friend's bird sanctuary, the birds died. Carson was alarmed. She imagined a spring when no birds returned to the woods near her home. In 1957, she started writing a book. The horrible thought of spring without the music of singing birds became the name for her book, Silent Spring. The book got a lot of attention. The companies that made the pesticides tried to get the book banned. They attacked Carson and her scientific conclusions. She fought back and continued to present her evidence. Soon, people started to listen, including President John F. Kennedy. President Kennedy ordered studies of a pesticide called DDT to see if Carson's ideas were right. Carson warned us of a danger to Earth's ecosystems. It was up to others, including many environmental groups, to act on her warning. As a result of Silent Spring, DDT was banned in 1972. But Carson never saw that day. In 1964, she died of cancer. Carson is best remembered for making people aware of the dangers of pesticides. People started thinking about what happens to plants and animals when we change the environment, either by accident or on purpose. Carson writing in her study. Edward O. Wilson. As a child, Edward O. Wilson, 1929, loved nature. He loved exploring in the Alabama woods and nearby streams. When he was 9 years old, he read an article about ants. Their interesting behavior and the way they worked together fascinated him. Those Alabama ants started young Wilson's career as a scientist. When he was only 13 years old, he discovered the first fire ants in the United States. Wilson had a hard time with math and some trouble reading. This did not stop him from studying science. He studied biology at the University of Alabama and Harvard University. Later, he became a professor at Harvard. Wilson continued to study ants. In 1971, he wrote a book about the social behavior of ants. He described how ants and other animals communicate using chemicals called pheromones. In the book, he also compared the organization of ant colonies to human societies. In 1992, Wilson wrote a book called The Diversity of Life. He wrote that human activities were destroying organisms worldwide. Wilson predicted that millions of kinds of plants and animals would become extinct by the middle of the 21st century. Since then, Wilson has been trying to find ways that humans can save the world's ecosystems. In 2007, Wilson gave a speech challenging everyone to learn more about our biosphere. He asked for the development of an online database of what we know about organisms. His speech gave rise to the Encyclopedia of Life Project, EOL, which provides global access to knowledge about life on Earth. Tyrone B. Hayes. Tyrone B. Hayes, 1967, is a biology professor at the University of California at Berkeley. He studies frogs. The first frogs he saw were in a swamp near his home in South Carolina. Now, Hayes studies frogs in Africa and North America. Hayes found something strange happening to some of the frogs he studied. Frogs living in the wild were going through sex changes. The male frogs were making eggs just like the females. Hayes and his team studied the frogs' environment. They found small amounts of a common herbicide in the water. An herbicide is a chemical used to kill plants. Hayes did more tests in the lab. The tests showed that the herbicide was causing the changes in the frogs. The companies that make the herbicide challenged the research, but Hayes believes his science is correct. He continues to speak out about what he finds. Wangari Mutai. Wangari Mutai, 1940 to 2011, was born in Nyeri, a town in Kenya, Africa. Unlike most of the young women in her country, Mutai was able to go to college. She went to college in Kansas, Pennsylvania, and Nairobi. She was the first woman from Eastern Africa to receive a doctorate degree. In 1977, Mutai founded the Greenbelt movement. The group is mostly women. Their main activity is planting trees to replace those cut down for firewood. They have planted more than 30 million trees. But some people didn't understand the value of planting trees. They didn't see the good Mutai was doing for the environment. Even though people tried to stop her, she did what was right for the environment and for the people of Kenya. Mutai was elected to the Kenyan Parliament in 2002. She was named Deputy Minister of Kenyan Natural Resources and Wildlife in 2003. In 2004, Mutai received the Nobel Peace Prize for her many years of promoting peace and good living conditions in Africa.